So you want to get better at making games, but you're not really sure how to go about doing that? I would suggest that you start with choosing your favorite game and then stealing from it. Hi, I'm Mike, and before you get too up in arms about intellectual property theft, let me explain what I mean when I say to steal from your favorite game. Now, making games is as much an art as it is a science, and there's a lot of information online about the science of it or the how-tos of it, and not a whole lot covering the art side of it. And I'm not talking about 3D modeling or textures or the artwork that goes into games. I'm talking about the game mechanics and what goes into the creative decisions behind making a game that's fun to play. So although I'm not talking about the actual artwork that goes into the games themselves, this advice does come from that world. And as I've been working on improving my digital painting skills, this is something that I've heard a couple of times now, and that is to steal from your favorite artists. And by steal, it's more forgery than larceny. So you're trying to replicate the techniques that went into creating the art, and then you can start to apply them to your own work in the future. And I think this approach to learning a skill is something that can be applied to game design or creating games as well, with a few tweaks. First of all, I think copying a full game is not going to be super worthwhile. Games are very large undertakings and require a lot of time to create. So trying to copy a full one, I think, has a lot of diminishing returns there. So I would say choose one mechanic from your favorite game to steal as opposed to the full game itself. And second, I'm thinking more about the underlying mechanics of the game and how different systems work together, as opposed to the aesthetics or the visual design of the game. There will be times, of course, where the mechanics don't feel right without some particle effects or some sounds that go along with it. And I think this in itself is a valuable lesson to learn when these things apply and how much these elements can actually add to the experience of a game. So why steal instead of just create something entirely new? I think there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, you already know that the system that you're trying to create is possible because it's been done before in a game that you like. And two, you have a very clear goal in mind, that you have a very easy way of evaluating whether or not you are being successful in your attempt to create this system. Now, I think it's about time we probably address the issue or the question you may have about originality and plagiarism. It's important to realize that in art, and video games are art, we can have that discussion down in the comments, but there's nothing truly original in art. Everything is derivative of work that has come before it at some level. Art is the expression of your voice using tools and techniques that have been developed either by you or by people who've come before you. And I think game mechanics are really no different from the tools and the techniques that are used to create other works of art. Where this can become a problem though, basically it's how many sources are you copying or stealing from? If you're stealing from only a single source, that is plagiarism. That is where you will get players calling you out for just copying another game. But if you are copying from a variety of other games and combining these different elements into your own vision, that's where stealing becomes being inspired from a variety of other games that you enjoy playing already. So another benefit of stealing from a bunch of different games that you enjoy is that each mechanic that you steal is basically just another tool in your toolbox that you can pull out at a later date. Or perhaps a better analogy is that each mechanic that you steal is like a Lego block. And as you collect more and more Lego blocks, you'll be able to piece them together in more unique and interesting ways to create something wholly your own, made up of individual components that you found in other places. For an example of what I mean, let's take a look at the game Tunic, because that's what I've been playing recently. Tunic is very clearly inspired by The Legend of Zelda, that it wears that inspiration on its sleeve. There's a green-shirted main character who fights with a sword and shield. But I think if you've played the game, you'll know that it's very much not just a copy of Zelda. There's a lot of other elements that I can see, at least, that have been inspired from other games. So to me, there's a lot of Dark Souls inspiration in this game as well, primarily in the way that the world is laid out and the paths that loop back on themselves, and the ability to sequence break if you know what you're doing and where you're going. On top of that, there's the statues that allow you to save your progress, refill your health, and respawn enemies in the area, as well as the combat, like the dodge roll and the stamina meter that you have to manage. There's a bit of Fez in there too, but that was a cool surprise and I don't really want to ruin it, so we'll just leave it at that. There are Obviously, other games that these elements could have come from as well. And if you see any elements from games that I don't mention here, feel free to leave it down in the comments. I'd be very curious to know what inspirations you guys see, because I think there's a lot that I'm not noticing. Where was I? Right. My point is that it's okay that Tunic has all of these influences that are very obvious where they come from, because the way that it's combined with the aesthetic and the vision of the creators of the game make it a unique and original experience. And that's true of this game, and it's true of the games that you're going to make as well. Even if you're using elements from other games that you enjoy, the way that you combine them and the story that you tell is going to be unique to your voice. Hopefully I've been able to convince you that it's a good idea to steal ideas from the games that you like. And if you found this video to be entertaining or helpful, hitting a like button is a great way to help get this video out to a wider audience. And YouTube thinks that you'll like this video. And that's it for me for now. So thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your games and take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.